So most of you guys know me as the Power Rangers comic book guy. I've been covering Power Ranger comics on the channel for the longest time, but there's been a bunch of other different comic book series I've been reading when the new issue of Mighty Morphin isn't coming out. So there has been a bunch of other different comics I've been reading for the past couple of years, and one comic book series or one other comic book franchise that has gotten me hooked has been the Massive-verse. Now, what is the Massive-verse? Well, the Massive-verse is a shared comic book series that's being released by Image Comics, but it's helmed by the minds of Kyle Higgins, Matt Groom, Melissa Flores, Ryan Parrott, and a bunch of other talented people working on it. If you name all those people you loved who worked on the mainline Mighty Morphin Power Ranger books, well, you are going to love the Massive-verse, because all your favorite talented people who worked on the Power Ranger comics are mostly here too in the Massive-verse, and I've just been loving the Massive-verse. I haven't fully caught up on all of them. I'm caught up on Radiant Black, which, oh my god, when I get to Radiant Black on the channel, the Catalyst War has been popping off, and if you're not reading Radiant Black right now with the Catalyst War, you guys are missing out. The Dead Lucky, I'm waiting for the second trade back to release so that way I can read it all in full. And Infernal Girl Red, I haven't read Infernal Girl Red yet. I need to. I'm definitely going to pick up the trade back later down the line, but it's something that's definitely on the list as well. But if you want to see how all these different characters come together, like the Dead Lucky, Rogue Sun, Radiant Black and stuff like that, if you want to see how all of these characters interact, definitely pick up the Supermassive one-shot events. They're really freaking awesome to read. There was one for 2023 and one for 2022, and there's one coming out for 2024. Highly recommend checking it out, because they are teasing some big crossovers later down the line with those one-shots. And if you're a fan of Image Comics, you can probably guess who might be crossing over with the Massive-verse in the nearby future. But I've been reading Rogue Sun, which is Ryan Parrott's brand new project that he's been doing. And Rogue Sun, if you're a fan of supernatural murder mysteries and superheroes in general, then Rogue Sun, or even the Massive-verse in general, is definitely up your alley, because there's a different genre of superheroes for each one of the Massive-verse. But if you want to see what the other Power Rangers comic talent has been doing, then definitely check out the Massive-verse. But Rogue Sun is what I've been reading. I'm going to cover issue 19 on this week's review for the channel, but Rogue Sun is really freaking awesome. I mean, even the showrunner for The Boys and Supernatural gave Rogue Sun the thumbs up of approval by saying, the best stories about superheroes are stories about humanity, and Rogue Sun is a stellar example. That was Eric Kripke from the showrunner of The Boys and Supernatural, like I mentioned earlier. So if he's given this the thumbs up, then you know it must be good. But that's enough of me gushing about the Massive-verse and other series within the Massive-verse. Like I said, go check out what the Massive-verse is doing. Go check out Radiant Black. Go check out The Dead Lucky. Go check out Infernal Girl Red. Go check out Rogue Sun. Pick them all up if you can. I believe you can read issue 1 previews on the Image Comic website, but definitely just pick up like these Massive-verse books. They're definitely worth checking out if you want to see some like American Toku stuff, is the best way to describe it. That's what I should have went with to begin with, American Toku. But let's talk about issue 19 of Rogue Sun, because this is another interesting issue that Ryan Parrott is doing. So this one is written by Ryan Parrott and Nick Cotton, and once again, it's the start of a brand new arc, because Ryan Parrott likes to do these 5-issue story arcs that he can wrap within a trade back. So we're starting off with a brand new arc with this issue. But last arc, I believe, if I can recap it correctly, and I'm going off by like knowledge. So in the last story arc, you had Dylan getting betrayed by what seemed to be his brand new mentor, Caleb Hawthorne, I believe their name was. And this guy was one of the previous Rogue Sons, and he was meant to be this mentor for Dylan, but he turned on Dylan and he trapped him within the Sunstone. And while that was going on, you had Caleb taking over Dylan's body, while Dylan's soul was trapped within the Soul Stone. Not the Soul Stone, the Sunstone. I'm probably going to get those mixed up. So, Dylan was in the Sunstone. He met up with his father, he met up with his grandfather, there was some family drama going on, but it did end up with Dylan getting his body back and his father returning to the real world, because there's this big threat within the Rogue Sun universe called Morningstar. Now, like I said, if you're a fan of Supernatural, then you're definitely, or Supernatural things, you're definitely going to love the villains and sort of like the Rogues gallery of Rogue Sun here, because they are really freaking cool looking. But Morningstar seems to be the big threat here within Rogue Sun. But either way, you have Dylan sort of back in his body and he's back to being his superhero life, but not only that, he's spending time with his dad, you could say. So Dylan and Marcus are catching up again. So what's really fascinating about issue 19 is that this is a 35-page issue. It's what they advertised as a flip book, and what they mean by that, the first half of the story is Dylan's perspective. So we get to explore a lot of inner monologue for Dylan. So there'll be these scenes where Marcus is talking and you have Dylan thinking over him. And then on the Marcus perspective of things, you have those speech bubbles actually being heard because you don't have Dylan thinking over them. So you sort of understand the point of view for both of these characters and sort of their mindset, which is really cool to see, because I'm really hoping within the next couple of issues we're going to explore Marcus more and learn more about him moving forward, because with Marcus back in the story again, I'm hoping that he can be like a proper mentor for Dylan as they need to take down Morningstar. And although Dylan's sort of inner monologue where he's going to take down Morningstar, Marcus's inner monologue is very interesting at the end, because Marcus says, if you ever find out about the truth about Morningstar and Rogue Sun, you'll never forgive me. So I do wonder if we'll learn about those secrets later down the line and what the ties are between Morningstar and Rogue Sun, because I feel like the Sunstone and Morningstar are probably tied together somehow. But going back to this issue 19, where it's a flip issue, and it's read in a very unique way with the two different perspectives. Ryan Parrott has done this before when it comes to Rogue Sun, where there's all these different unique ways of reading Rogue Sun with each issue. And this is basically Ryan having the keys to his own kingdom and almost being allowed to do whatever he wants. I mean, I believe at the start, I think it's issue 6 or issue 7, it's a choose your own adventure comic book. So that entire issue is a choose your own adventure. And I'll give away spoilers for that issue because I don't know if it's canon or not, or what it ties into within the main story, but that whole comic book is almost every choice you make, you're always going to be in this endless loop. But if you pay attention to a certain bit of dialogue at the start of the issue, that is sort of like a cheating way to get around it, to get to the end of that issue. And that's something I really like. There's another issue of Rogue Sun where they're in the dimension of, I believe it's, let me just scroll down to find their name. I think it's Raven Queen. They're in her dimension. And what's really, if I'm wrong about being in her dimension, I'm sorry, but they're in this sort of like hell dimension, and whenever the pages cut to Rogue Sun being in this hell dimension, you have to read those pages horizontal, and then when it's back in reality, like in the real world, you have to read the pages vertical like a normal comic. And that's really freaking cool. Like, I love how creative Ryan can get with this comic book, with what he can do. Like, there's so many unique ways of reading this issue, and this again is just another unique issue of Rogue Sun that we're getting, that's starting up a brand new story arc. And like I said, you view the perspective through these two different characters as they fight on Alienator, and you have them exploring this sort of like shack in the swamps, and you have Marcus giving the backstory for Alienator. And like I said, on the Dylan pages, you don't really get to hear what this backstory is because Dylan is thinking over it. But then when you get to the Marcus side of things, well, then you learn about that backstory where people were devoured and hunted down, torn limb from limb, and that's really freaking cool because you understand what that backstory is. But when it's Dylan's perspective, well, Dylan's just thinking a lot for everything. And I think that's really freaking cool. Like I said, you get to understand the mindsets for both of these characters, and I think that's really freaking cool. But yeah, Rogue Sun is really fantastic to read, and I highly recommend picking it up and checking it out. This is sort of like the beginning of a brand new story arc. Next month in June's issue, from the solicitations, it looks like things are going to kick in the high gear. We're going to meet a brand new villain, which I'm really excited about, because the villains of Rogue Sun are really freaking unique. They have some humanity to them, and I really like that about them. But Power Ranger comics are ending soon, and we don't know if we're going to get more at this point. So why not cover the Supermassive Verse or the Massive Verse stuff and talk about these different comic book series on the channel? Because I enjoy reading them. A lot of people have been wanting me to cover them, so why not? I don't know if these videos are going to do well or not, but well, what else are you going to get from me when it comes to comic reviews? I'm not going to put out daily mush with no substance. I want to talk about stuff that I'm passionate about, and the Massiveverse comic books I really enjoy, and I really want to talk about more on the channel, so I'll definitely be talking about them moving forward. So have you guys read Rogue Sun? What do you think of Rogue Sun? What's your favorite Massiveverse comic so far? Tell me down below. I'm definitely going to try reading the rest of the other series as the next upcoming months, as everything's slowly being released. It's just money. That's one of them. And you're going to make sure that it's in stock when you try buying it on Amazon or at a comic book store. But yeah, that was Rogue Sun issue 19. I don't know if this video is going to be highly edited so far. Probably next month will be, because that one will be not the sort of like the flip thing going on. But I'll probably have a couple of stuff in here and there. But anyway guys, I'll see you guys later. Peace out, take care, and bye.